I would like to ask how many downstream forks of the GitHub repository of Ledger Live exists, and how many you expect to have in 6 months.
I think this is visible probably on GitHub. I don't have the answer right now. We can see how many people fork the repo. To be very transparent with you, if you want to fork Ledger Live, you have to fork three different repositories. There is one called Ledger Live Common, where we handle the overall logic, basically the wallet logic, the synchronization logic, the error management, all of this. And Ledger Live Common is basically Ledger Live in command line interface. So that's the core of Ledger Live. And then you have two main repositories, Ledger Live Desktop and Ledger Live Mobile, which are basically the UI part for both the mobile and the desktop part. So if you want to have a quick preview of what is available, you should check Ledger Live Common and see how many people already forked this. I know for a fact that some teams actually use Ledger Live, forked it for bad reason. To make a fake Ledger Live and try to scam people, making them think they are using the software and then asking for 24 words. So that's a bad habit of scammers. But also other teams are actually running their own version most of the time because they already added their blockchain support, but we didn't have the time to review it yet. If you want to take a look at projects that are ongoing, I think we're working with Edera, Solana, and other teams that have their own fork at the moment and that are working on the integration themselves. Am I answering your question? I don't have the exact number, sorry for that.
Yes, you are. How many of those deploy on Docker images?
Even harder question. I don't think a lot of them. Ledger Live, at least Ledger Live Common, is easier to run if you just compile it locally and if you don't use any Docker images.
So would you say if the two KPIs called usage of open source Git repositories and usage of open source Docker containers are two KPIs for this challenge, that it would be hard to audit?
It's not hard to audit.
Audit your progress, audit the improvements that's been delivered on these KPIs. If you don't have the initial values, I suppose you cannot say how much you delivered of value, right?
Okay, what we monitor at Ledger in terms of external participation at the moment, knowing that this is a very, very new approach that we're having, is the successful number of projects that we onboarded. So like I said, last year, the number of projects was 0. So that was, we start from 0. And actually that's false because we added Elrond very recently. The Elrond team did the work themselves. So this is the first project that was integrated. Roman, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have people.org, Edera, Solana. What else?
Yeah, I think these are the three in the pipe right now. Yes,
the 3 in the pipe right now that are working on this. We have ongoing discussions with others coming soon, but the only actually fully externalized development that happened so far is Elrond. And like I said, it's a first. All the rest was in the past done entirely by the Ledger team. So to be very transparent with you, we definitely have some improvement to provide in terms of tooling and helping external teams work on that, but it's doable.
Given that the backend is proprietary, if I would be to make my own version of Ledger Live with my own customizations, how would I gain required access to the backend APIs?
So it depends. In the example of
let me maybe rephrase my question. Is it part of this proposal to enable that or not?
So the way I understand it, the Strica team would do the actual development on the GitHub repo. So all of this will be totally open source. There is a very high probability, I don't know yet, but I assume that they would use their own backend, and I understood this is a proprietary backend.
That is within the proposal, yes.
Yeah, and so this is, I would say, another part of the architecture for Ledger Live, where we actually do need a backend to synchronize, operate, to retrieve your account balance, list of operations, number of assets that you hold, etc. And so, yes, indeed, it would be probably Strica that runs this backend. You have a specific file in Ledger Live where you can point to the backend URL.
Yes,
Ledger
and it probably will require API key, right?
Yeah, but you actually do not need this, because what we will do, Ledger will probably enter in an agreement with Strica, because we want to have a proper quality of service to Ledger Live users. So we'll make sure that we have an access, qualified access to their service. And so what we do is we set up a reverse proxy so that all the Ledger Live request goes first to Ledger, and then Ledger, from a set of maybe 5 to 10 IPs, offload the request to whatever service we might end up using. So we probably will start with Strica. If the service is not good enough, Ledger will reassess. But at the beginning, it's probably easier to work with a single partner. If in 2 years we realize this service is not good enough and there is another one that is better on the market, we might very well change it. And so you will see that there is a URL in one of the files inside the Ledger Live repo, where we basically specify the endpoint that you need to query when you want to access such service. So you could basically use Ledger Infra. If that's your question, you don't need to set up your own infra. You can just use the same URL as any Ledger Live users out there, and it will just work. And if you want to perform your own change locally, like changing the font, the colors, or anything else, you can do so. It's
provided that I trust Ledger to give me the correct values for the chain, and not lie to me, for instance, about my account balance, right?
That's entirely true.
Including fake transactions, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're entirely correct. At some point, you need to trust that the backend service, in that case, that wouldn't be operated by Ledger, is trustworthy. Just to remind everyone, the security model of Ledger does not rely on Ledger Live, does not rely on the backend service. It only relies on the hardware wallet. Okay, you just check what you see is what you sign. It's the only model that you have to respect. As long as you check what's in your hardware wallet, it's safe. But it's true, AAABBB, it's totally true. If the backend is giving you a fake or wrong value, we cannot do anything about this. But that's also true on Bitcoin and Ethereum today.
I was browsing around in the Ledger website. I found something interesting called Academy, but I was looking for a white paper or something where I could see an abstract conclusion, some kind of security content, how the hardware is made secure, what are the proofs, and maybe some kind of sources who has peer reviewed. Yeah, and if you have that somewhere in handy, I'd like to see. And when this link is found, or you have some story about that, then I talked a little about what is the Ledger Academy, and does Cardano Community also can use that to our advantage.
Try to answer your question. Maybe Roman, you can help me on this one. I have one thing to share. That's just what I found after a quick Google search. Let me share it with you here. Ledger Hardware Wallet, we are following a security certification. So we are audited by a third-party expert company. I'm not an expert in security certification, so please bear with me here. But basically what we go through this process of reviewing. So there is no white paper per se. We really go through security audits from external company. We are also not hacked as far as I can see and as far as I can tell, and we have our own team to make sure that it remains secure. This being said, doesn't mean that it will forever be secure. Maybe some other wallets will be able to, or some other companies will be able to hack Ledger. That's why we have a bounty program in place, where basically we also work with white hat that can provide us with security issues and tell us what they think and what they found, so that we can basically fix it in advance. That's why we always invite our users to update their firmware. It's not to be a pain in the ass, it's really to ensure that the best security measures are in place. And we always invite people to update their applications to the latest version, meaning if there is an update of the Cardano application, yes, of course, it's because there are new features. but also maybe there are some security fixes. We are not shouting and yelling about this. This is not a great way to say it, but you should always use the latest version. So this is the only thing I found on such short notice. But maybe Roman, you can help me find something else if we have to share.
Yes.
That was the question about the security, and I don't remember the second question. Sorry, about the academy and the.
Yeah, I kind of already see that these kinds of links, what are given, are from academy. Just maybe a brief of what it is and can a community leverage that, because it seems like an educational content, but it also seems a bit of what is the Ledger about.
Yeah, so the academy is handled by our marketing and communication team. To be fair, I don't know exactly what their purpose is, but in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, I would say Ledger is seen as a trusted source of information. I don't know why, but because we're agnostic, because we don't care, we are not working with one project only. We are seen as a source of truth for many random questions about blockchain. So we have many people actually asking us very, very basic questions about, okay, what are keys? Where are my coins? I remember I wrote these articles to explain that your coins are actually not on the hardware wallet. The keys are on the hardware wallet. The coins are on the blockchain. So all of these basic questions, we try to provide the information easily accessible through a Google search. Okay, you ask the question. Usually, Ledger should be on the top answers. And we try to update this content. So we also receive a lot of questions about specific networks and specific blockchains, and specific features of such blockchain. One good example is Polkadot. Polkadot is completely crazy with their staking mechanism. It's super complex to explain to people. So we try to make it as easy as possible to understand, and we try to votarize. I don't know if that word is correct in English, but we try to make it understandable to the layman. So that's the purpose of the academy, basically, teaching about blockchain principles and how to remain safe in this new environment.
Oh yeah, actually, I see that as an opportunity. What you just mentioned with the academy, yes, it's not more of a technical peer review system that Ledger uses internally, but it's more, like you said, as a marketing thing. But it seems like this might be an opportunity to make the proposal a little bit more robust if you added that Cardano would be a part of the academy, that the things that we're trying to teach people, you have like a section dedicated to Catalyst, explaining what that is. Because one of the things that Catalyst, as a newbie and myself, working with I've been involved in Cardano since the beginning of the year, pretty much, but of last year, but just recently with Catalyst, and understanding a little bit more of the intricacies for like a new person to have another entity like Ledger be able to help educate the public about that would be something that I think would be interesting. In addition to, because if you have 6 essential everythings, just integrating Cardano into kind of your academy for the general person who's trying to get into crypto would be very helpful, I think.
Okay, I think you're making a valid point. Usually what we do, and this I would have to double check with the marketing and com team, but essentially the purpose of the proposal here is really to focus on the actual development. That's why we need the funds and we need the help of the Strica team. It's really to actually do the development. For all the rest, it's pretty much open. We want to have AMA sessions to, because people don't want to read articles, they rather watch videos. We want to have podcasts, and we do so on a weekly basis now. But we can definitely have a dedicated what is Cardano on the academy and what is Catalyst. This is not a big deal. This is definitely something we can work on. Roman, you correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, but I think it's in everybody's interest to anyway answer these type of questions before these questions reach our customer success team. Just to give you a real data points, Cardano is now the third most downloaded application on the Ledger hardware wallet. You cannot imagine the number of tickets we're receiving about Cardano.
Yeah.
So we have a ton of questions about that. Our customer success agents are not specifically trained today on Cardano because we are not supporting this on Ledger Live, and they are mostly trained on our own product first, but they are very familiar with Yoroi, Adalite, and all the wallets out there. We have customer success agents that are Cardano holders themselves and quite fan of the project. So we have some knowledge, but we could definitely write stuff about this and make it a little bit more visible. It would help not only the Cardano community, but also Ledger with a bunch of questions. So fair point.
Definitely. And just to be clear, I was saying that as a recommendation for the future. Obviously, I understand that the beginning steps need to be the development side of it. And specifically, that was one of the things that, because I purchased my Ledger, when did I start using a Ledger? Mid 2021. And that was one of the things that I was super sad about, was that I couldn't have, Cardano was not involved, I wasn't able to do anything with Cardano until just recently. So yes, I think that the development part definitely needs to take precedent, but for just the community to see the roadmap and how it will help, because I do think that this partnership is valuable. And especially as everything grows within the ecosystem and everyone is getting better, I just think that this is a smart partnership.
And just to tell you how right you are on this part, it's not first development and then we'll make the articles. It's the development will happen, and before we actually release anything, we'll make sure that we have the Help Center articles and the Academy page and the blog post and the AMS sessions, and everything will basically arrive at the same time, like a big bang. And that's usually the way we proceed.
I think one thing also important to mention, also what you said, Dinah. One of the main purposes of this call here is as well the proposal, which is submitted now, only covers phase 1. When everything went well, phase 2 will come and phase 3 will come. And as everything, we evolve over iterations and direct community feedback already. Hey guys, maybe in the future from proposal, take care of this, take care of that. It's exactly what we want to see happen here as well. And I have a question for those who don't know Strica, Ashish, Cardano Scan. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit. Why has Strica been elected to get the execution and implementation of this proposal?
Yes, so Strica is the company behind or the company who created and launched Cardano Scan, which is a Cardano Explorer running or available. It launched back in August or September 2020, so shortly after Shelly Mainnet launch. And the interesting part of Cardano Scan is that it is not just using the existing tools like DB-Sync, but he has created a lot of the whole database and data logic part for himself. And so I see it as a very important or very good thing for the Cardano ecosystem, because it means diversity. It already showed that sometimes it worked, Cardano Scan worked when all other explorers had some struggle after a hard fork. And Strica, with this expertise, so the real deep insight on based or coming from the work that they did for themselves, they was also already able to report bugs or mistakes back to the specification team, which was confirmed them and fixed based on so exactly this diversity that I strongly believe that it is good to have it. And also based on the expertise on the groundwork that they did for the Explorer, they then created the wallet, which is Typhoon Wallet, which was launched some weeks or months ago. And it was launched with pretty much functionality and support for the whole Cardano functionality. So not just send and receive, but also metadata, native tokens, catalyst voting, staking. They implemented multi-account support, so you can connect your Treasure or Ledger key, and with this one wallet, you can have, so for now, 5 different accounts that can be delegated to different pools. So you have one wallet, and in the different accounts that can be delegated to different pools. And with the last release, they haven't extended this to virtually unlimited number of accounts that you can have. I believe that this shows that they are very experienced and they know very well what they do. Because what they need to deliver for the Ledger Live integration is similar to what they did for their own wallet, for the Typhon wallet. And yeah, as maybe last thing what we said, it was not the only integration partner that we asked. We did interviews also with other potential partners, and found out that the combination of costs, estimated costs and guaranteed deliveries, so like what was mentioned before by what was mentioned before, that we absolutely wanted also the native token support. That was not guaranteed by the other integration company that we asked. And so we came to the conclusion that Strica is a good company that we are going to propose to Ledger. Ledger then did all the interviews and onboarding, so it is not up to us to decide this. It was a Ledger interview and verification, and we was happy that they confirmed that they also was happy with what they heard and what they agreed on with Strica directly. And after our groundwork is done, so if we as ambassadors bring through this project through Catalyst and have the funding, then the work will mainly happen between Ledger and Strica. So we are not then actively involved, also because we are not the coding experts.
And if I may add something to what Markus was saying, it's really important, and thank you for that, because Ledger is not, we are not Cardano experts. We don't know everyone from the community. So we really appreciated your help in helping us, scout the entire ecosystem and provide suggestions and partners, etc. Because otherwise, that was basically our first ask. We want to make this happen. With who should we be working? That's the first question, because we don't have the expertise, you guys have. And Ledger will follow up with the project management and the actual delivery. And you know what, maybe it will not be the right decision, and we'll figure this out later on, but at least we did our best to select the partner and to move along with the project. One of the most important thing that Ledger was pushing for, and sorry for that, Markus, if we were a bit pushy, but we didn't want the discussions to take too long. The reason is we understood that you have this process that takes time. On our side, we're also a company, and we have our senior executives asking us support Cardano. The community is asking for it. We cannot wait another 6 months to have it. Everyone is asking for it. Make it happen. So we have to, there is the trade-off between making the right decision and making a timely decision. So hopefully the decision is correct, and only the future will prove us right or wrong.
There you touch an important point, Fabrice, because it has to be fast. So what happens if the proposal get not voted and therefore not funded as well? Does the community now have to say, oh shit, okay, no Ledger Live integration? How is this handled?
It's a very good question. Honestly, until now, I think Roman and I were trusting the community to say yes to the proposal. So we are really hoping this will happen. If it does not happen, yeah, it will be a shitstorm at Ledger. We'll have to reassess what we'll do. But to be very fair, this is one of the main objectives of the company. So we'll find other ways. But I don't think I think it's a good way to work with you and not against you. The reason is, in the end, the only reason we add Cardano is because the Cardano holders are asking for it. So if we don't do it the way they want it, maybe at the end we're not, achieving the purpose. Basically, we're not reaching the goal. So it's good if we have the feature, but it's best if we have it the way the actual users want it and want it also implemented. And I kind of personally like also the approach of having the community involved in that. It may take a little bit longer, but at least at least you can see that Ledger is not only a brand. There are actually people working behind the scene, and so we get to know each other, and it's kind of better.
Thanks. And BP, you raised your hand again.
To Markus' comments, is there a proposal that has already been funded by prior funds of Catalyst called Ouroboros Networking JS, which basically implements the required functionality to implement a backend that will be used by the Ledger Live, which is already past the due, the delivery date by Strica?
It is so the scope of this proposal is the whole Ledger Live integration. So it is Ledger provides a whole framework and a very detailed and demanding framework and rule set on how it has to be implemented. And the scope of this proposal is this part. If this it depends then what company is going to implement it. If it is another company, then they need their own libraries and tools or something that is open source or available from the Cardano ecosystem or from some general cryptographic libraries. And it is the decision and let's say the task of this integration company to choose and to develop the libraries that they are going to use. We know that there are, so Strica already proposed, I don't know exactly, 1, 2, 3 proposals that they won and which are in previous Catalyst funding rounds, and they are currently under development or already delivered. And of course, they are using it to implement stuff that is required to make Cardano wallets work, be it a Typhoon wallet, Ledger Live integration, or what else.
I am merely pointing out that due to the conduct of the company that you selected, other participants who would be interested in implementing such functionality are not enabled to do so, although it's already been committed by the company that you selected to publish the required library to build on top of as open source. I believe it was supposed to be due in November last year, maybe December, but by this time it's already past delivery time.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question, so can you?
I believe in Fund 4, a library that is required to implement the API that will be used by Ledger Live has been funded for Strica, and although it's been committed by them to deliver it in 3 months, it still has not been published. So if somebody would want to compete or build a competing wallet to their wallet, they are not able to do so. Although they as a community already paid to have the library developed and published by Strica.
So it will be a question for Strica because I'm not really involved in this.
You are the one proposing the proposal. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Just to what I want to say is the exact details about the other proposal. I'm not fully aware of it, but I asked for, so I try to answer as detailed as possible now. The reason why the proposal from Fund 4 was not already published is because in Cardano, if you follow it for some months or years, then you probably know that there is a lot of new development and a lot of, let's say, blocking events or blocking situations. And for this proposal, there was a blocking, such a blocking situation. So it took a little bit longer. And maybe Daniel can help me, but I believe that for this Fund 4 proposal, Strica gave reasons and agreed with the Catalyst payment office, let's call it this way, that there will be a delay and not all funds for this proposal was paid for because it wasn't fully delivered yet. This is what I know, but as I said before, the exact details about these other proposals and why it was delayed and not fully released yet is something that needs to be asked the people that are involved there. I'm not fully involved there. If it is about, let's say, Blockfrost would want to implement this, Blockfrost also has proposed a lot of places and also won a lot of proposal in Catalyst. So they have implemented their own libraries, backends, and tools. And as far as I know, they already work together with Satoshi Labs and Treasure for a Treasure suite integration. And I personally, as an ambassador, really like to see this tool. And I also really like to see it done by two different entities and, let's say, a more diverse ecosystem with multiple entities who are able to implement and code and deliver stuff and functionality.
So among the unclear auditability of this proposal, would you say it's also fair to assume that the feasibility of the proposal may also be in question, given that we already have established poor track record of the company you selected?
That was an absolute requirement for what we, because as said, the proposal itself is only part of the whole project. So we simply can't propose something by not having an exact estimate and also not by having an interview and an audit, a pre-audit from Ledger. So as Fabrice mentioned, it was a little bit of time pressure also for us. We tried our best. And if it wouldn't be have Strica, then it would be Vacuum Labs, Blockfrost, who else? But it will be one integration company with a clear pre-interview, with a clear defined scope and a cost estimate that we wanted to have and we needed to insert in the proposal, because in the Catalyst process, the proposal has to be an exact cost. We can't propose something and declare a cost without.
Yes, it's called firm fixed price. I am familiar with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also regarding that, we come to the top of the hour, because Roman, Fabrice, it's late on your place already. Don't want to have you guys stick around for hours.
We can stay if there are other questions. I mean, I don't know exactly how often do you guys have this type of talk and discussion, but it's fairly interesting. And I assume you will not talk about our proposal anymore after that. So if you have any other questions, I'll stay. Don't worry. And now my son is sleeping, so it's cool.
I plan to publish an article in a major Cardano related media.
And those meetings happen every week. We get trained in the community to speak to each other, listen to each other, and then figuring out, hey, how can we move forward? Strica has been selected right now to implement the solution. If it would not have been Strica, if it would have been somebody else, there would be other problems, other discussions. I think what we are really aware about also in the ecosystem, we are still on the very beginning. There is never a perfect solution. We always have a dirty start.
On Ledger side, we agree to change. I mean, not for this proposal, because we cannot change it all the time. But here again, if after phase one, we're not happy with the result for whatever reason, Ledger totally can reassess everything. We can change the backend. We can do a lot of things internally. actually, at the end of the day, the Ledger Live product is still a Ledger product. Even if it's open source, it's still Ledger that actually deploy it, and it's still a Ledger brand. So if the quality is not there, if the security is for whatever reason not good enough, in our opinion, if the code quality is shit, well, maybe we will not merge this. It will be an awful result. We don't want this to happen. But we will not just accept something if the quality is not there. And if 1 year from now we, I don't know, maybe Strica will just end their service. Ledger will try its best to not have this situation happen. So we'll definitely sign some SLAs with Strica and make sure that we have a quality of service for a given time. But even in the SLAs, the Strica team is not aware of this, but Ledger will definitely push to have a clause where we can change service. That's a mandatory thing from the Ledger legal team. We need to be, in capacity to change the service or the provider we're working with if the quality is not there. So at the end of the day, nothing is set in stone, and it's just about this phase one. And it's all about trade-off and making sure we can get the ball rolling. And hopefully, man, this is our target. We want this to happen in Q1. We want this to be released end of Q1. This is also for Ledger a lot of work and a lot of resources that will be involved in the project in terms of QA, code review, marketing, communication, and all these type of things. So, but I think we're all in line on the at the end. The objective is. It's a win for everyone. It's obviously a win for Ledger because we know our users will be super happy. And since I joined Ledger, I remember when the Cardano app arrived on the Ledger hardware wallet. I'm the one who actually tested it, so I remember this very well. And since then, I received several times per week the question, when will we have this on Ledger Live? And Dana, this is exactly the question we receive all the time. It's kind of confusing for users. Okay, they buy a Ledger hardware wallet and then they realize, oh, shit, I cannot hold my ADA token. So this is definitely a big pain point, not only for the Cardano holders, but definitely for Ledger. We want to get rid of this problem. It's important for us to solve.
And that's why I think there's an opportunity, because no matter what, we want to think that everybody who gets into this space is knowledgeable and technically advanced. There's a lot of people who are new who just know the name Ledger, and they know it more than a number of blockchains. And so the fact that I want to commend you guys, because whether or not your proposal gets funded, I think, and the fact that you have already stated that you are not experts in the Cardano blockchain and you are willing to learn and you're willing to work with us, is the fact that you're submitting a proposal in the first place and going through the process. And this is the beginning to learn who the community is, and how we do things. And so I think just the fact that you're willing to go through the process of submitting a proposal and doing all of this, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great learning experience. So I'm glad that you guys are here. And I think that no matter what, people who are having ledgers are going to be experiencing Cardano on it one way or another. So and also just to let you know, my experience with Cardano as somebody who didn't know the blockchain, like you guys, has been so pleasant, very constructive criticism. People who are willing to help, people who are willing to answer questions. If you have something wrong or you're doing something the wrong way, there are going to be people there to come alongside of you, not attack, but to constructively help guide you in the right direction, especially since you have the eyes and ears of so many people in the crypto space. So keep pushing, and I think that it'll be beneficial.
And a last thing I want to mention as well, because it was mentioned already before we started to record the meeting, because normally, yeah, Fabrice, like you said already, normally deals like this are much more easy when you go directly to Cardano Foundation. Everything happens behind closed doors. I think there's another aspect as well of saying, hey, how far can open source go? Also that the whole process is open. And
taking a risk here, Felix. It's for Ledger. Honestly, we're taking a risk, but exactly. but like Dana was saying, we're all learning. Okay, and Ledger is the first learning this process. You guys are experienced on that. You're talking every week. Roman and I, it's our first discussion like this. So hopefully it's the first of many, but yeah, we'll see. And I think the crypto industry will move in this direction anyway. So it's better to start learning these new ways now, and not get lost or get outpaced by others later.